Hey everyone, welcome back to the B-Movie Bunker. Today we're looking at Dead Hooker in a Trunk. This is from 2009, brought to us by Jen and Sylvia Soska, the Twisted Twins. This was their first feature-length film. What we have is a story of people who don't even really have names. It's just the badass, the geek, the goody two-shoes, and the junkie. It's four kind of friends who find a dead hooker in their trunk, and then, while trying to get her buried, run into various bad guys, serial killers and other drug dealers and everything. This movie was interesting. For a first outing, I think it was actually pretty good. There are people who, are very heavily critical on this, and some of the ones I don't understand are the ones who say that, it's not as polished as American Mary, and it's not as good as American Mary, and the lighting and the sound, and it's not as good as... Yeah, this is the first movie they did. You're comparing the first feature length they did to something they did 2 years later. I mean, unless time machines and time travel is possible, that would make sense that this movie's not going to be as polished, that their first feature-length film isn't as good as their second, or third, or fourth, or fifth. But I digress. The movie is slow to get started. It really is. But once it gets going, it's kind of fun. I mean, there's just this... It's very random, and it's very nonsensical, and people who, have arms knocked off, but are still pretty much okay, just get sewed back on, and we're going to go. That's what this movie is. It's got a kind of an old Grindhouse feel to it, along with, the really bright red blood, and just, the fucking, the F-bomb dropped every, 2.8 seconds. This is not a movie meant to be taken seriously. This is not like, what would really happen if you found a dead hooker in your trunk, and this is how people really react. These are not real people. Yes, I know, I'm not saying, well, it's a movie, it's fake, but it's meant to be exaggerated or overblown or, just out there. One of the characters even makes a comment at the end. I don't remember the exact line, but pretty much how, there's no consequences for all the weird shit that we just did. All the people we killed and all the mayhem and chaos we caused, no consequences for it. That's what the movie is. It's just this weird joyride that these people go on, and there's no consequences at the end. It's not meant to be a serious movie. When people talk about some of the stuff that they complain about this movie, they weren't paying attention to the rest of the film. There's nothing in the movie that sets this up as, this is a real-life story. These are the stories of the California Highway Patrol. No, it's not. It's outlandish and goofy, and it's Grindhouse. Was it a great movie? Hell no. It's not a great movie. It's an okay movie, but it's still fun in parts of it. Yes, it could have been served well with a little better editing and a little better acting, but you know what? How many truly independent movies can't be helped with that? And people need to learn, too, that there's different levels of independent film, folks. You can't sit there and say, the movie Zach Braff is making, well, that's the same level of independent film as Dead Hooker in the Trunk. It's not. Zach Braff has millions of dollars to work on his indie film. Yes, it's not produced with a major studio, although now he's getting money for it from a studio, but when people compare these things, they're not the same thing. An independently made movie that has a budget of $1 million and an independent movie that has a budget of $100 are two vastly different fucking things. And you can't compare them and say, well, this indie film was so much better than this one. The lighting, the sound is better in this than it is in it. Well, no fucking shit, asshole. I'm tired of the people who can't seem to differentiate between a high-level production and a low-level production. What it comes down to is the script. And the script in this one was okay. It wasn't great, but, I think for what they had and for their first outing, I think they did a decent job. Scale of 1 to 10. This is, it's like finding an actual dead hooker in your trunk. It's a little lifeless at times, but the big thing is it's a surprise. You're like, what the fuck is this doing here? And that's kind of how this movie is. It's a surprise. It's what exactly is going on. And that's what you think when you're looking at Dead Hooker in your trunk. Well, what's going on? And it's improbable. I mean, what are the odds of you just finding a dead hooker in your trunk? Not very fucking likely, unless you're like some kind of drug dealing pimp. Or, you know, a dead hooker transporter. You know, you're like Jason Statham for pimps. You know, like I said, I enjoyed it. If you like watching an independent film and seeing how people progress, that's what I like, is that I can see the progression that the Soska sisters made from this film to American Mary. I can see that they have improved in their direction and in their script writing. They've gotten better, and I like that. This, you know, total independent movie, and it shows in a lot of ways that it's totally independent, but it also shows that they grew and they learned from this experience. That's what I love about filmmaking, is watching people who learn and grow and become better, and, you know, they pick things up and they do things better the next time. That's all I have for this one. Until next time, why don't you all stay safe out there in the wasteland, folks.